Hello, everyone. I hope that you can hear me okay. I'm really excited to be here with you today. This is actually the first one of our Tribe Thrive TV broadcasts, and these will be starting really shortly. Actually, we'll be interviewing two of our ambassadors as of tomorrow. So likely if you're here, it's because you're a woman and you're likely stuck. When I think about what's really happening today, there's so much going on for women. And I think that's the piece that really grabbed my heart the most and is what made me start investigating and looking at why we need to get, busy on making some big changes. So when I talk about that, you could be coming from two different places. You might be a professional woman who's stuck in her career and isn't getting where you want to be or go, and you're overworked, you're overwhelmed, and you're stuck because you've got a number of competing priorities. Or you might be a woman entrepreneur, and there are so many competing priorities. There's so many hats that you're trying to wear, and there's a lot of really unfortunate things that are also happening. So let's dive into some of that. This is the place for me to be super candid and super genuine. That's who I am. I'm not going to be polished on these calls, and neither will the people that I'm interviewing. We're going to be real and share a lot of what is happening across the globe, and then specifically what's happening here in Canada. So if you don't mind, I'd love to give you just a slight bit of background so that I can see how this resonates with you and where things are for you. So I'm just going to check, and I just want to see if I can. I'm sorry, you're going to have to bear with me for 2 seconds because this is my first broadcast. Okay, I can't seem to see where the comments are, but if you'd love to share a comment with me, I would love to see what you have to say. I'd love to be engaged with you and really start this community, because that's what this is all about. So I'm going to share with you, if you don't mind, why this started. So Wealthy Woman Warrior really was my own proprietary business. It was all about mindset and coaching. And what started to happen was that I started to hear rumblings about what was happening with other women. And then I went to this conference where I heard this stat shared. And the stat that was shared was that only 2% of women-run businesses ever make it to 7 figures. And I thought, wow, that's a really terrible but very telling statistic. So what's actually happening with women? So after going to that conference and coming back and listening to some of the other things that were being shared, I did my own research and I looked up what was happening in Canada. And this is close to 2 years ago. So when I looked at what was happening in Canada, there was also this really clear, designation between women in corporate who should be in C-suite and aren't. And, we just had a governmental mandate stating that, we need to have 30% of women on boards and in C-suite by 2019. So I've kept a really close eye on this. And what's amazing is that we've barely moved the needle. So we have this mandate. This is something that the Canadian government is trying to fix, and it's not working. And there's a couple of reasons that it's not working. So I went into doing more research and really diving into a lot of the components. And what came up was that there are 5 areas of what they call vulnerability. And the first area is mindset. The second is communication. The third is financial literacy. The fourth is sales. And the fifth is technology. Likely you've heard some of these pieces, okay? Or foundational vulnerabilities, if you will. And what I think is really important to understand is that these 5, what I call core foundational pillars, are actually the very reason that women aren't getting ahead. They're the very reason why we're struggling with being able to move that dial. It's the very reason that so many women are stuck. So many women are starting to feel like their life and their careers and the dreams that they have for them aren't truly possible. And that's really where Wealthy Woman Warriors Tribe Thrive came from. Hi, Kim. I just saw you just popped up on here, so I just wanted to say hello. Thanks for joining me. I'm excited to have you here. Kim is actually going to be one of the women that we interview and we talk with, because Kim is also a guru in technology. And Kim, if you don't mind, I'm going to share this just this quick little story, because I want to make sure that you guys really understand where all of this is coming from. So I have listened to close to 250 Canadian women right now tell me stories about what's happened for them. Some are corporate women who have been pushed out of their top C-suite roles. And it's crazy because their roles are going to people that either, it's going to sound terrible, but I'm going to say it. I'm just going to say it. They're going to the short, fat, bald guy still, which shouldn't be happening anymore. They shouldn't be passed over because of many different reasons. I'm not going to go there yet. For women entrepreneurs, what I've been hearing from them is that they're being taken advantage of. They're buying products that aren't actually giving them what they need. They're getting sold something and not actually getting what they truly will benefit from. There are women who are going into technology. And I have to be totally honest here, ladies. When I ventured into this, I had a great sequence of working with awesome tech teams. And when I decided I wanted to go bigger, because I wanted to be able to provide things that I couldn't do by myself, I have basically gone through 3 companies now. And Kim and I have actually done a case study, and we're going to share this with you because I want you to know how real this is. I initially was hearing from women what they were struggling with and was thinking, okay, well, gosh, that doesn't sound great. You've spent $20,000 and your website still isn't up and running, or you've spent $5,000 and what you've asked to have done isn't working. There's all of these technologies that integrate together and nothing's working. So I started listening to that and I was like, okay, well, maybe they're not asking the right questions. Maybe they're not asking the right questions. Maybe they don't know the specific steps. But I have to tell you, and at first I was embarrassed about this, and now I'm not embarrassed. Now I'm furious. And I'm furious because I had to go through 3 different technology companies, 3 different people. I actually started to believe that I was the person who wasn't organized, which if you know me and you work with me, I'm like crazy organized. I started to believe that maybe my product or what I was trying to do wasn't good. But the reality is that not only was I also taken advantage of, I also had other people look at the work, and we did an audit. We did an audit because we wanted to see how bad it was. And let me tell you, ladies, you are not alone. So these pieces, all of these things that were happening to other women that I was constantly hearing and thinking, okay, well, I can see that, but how bad is it really? It's bad. And this is a conversation that we need to start having. So the reason that we have 5 pillars in Wealthy Woman Warrior is because of those 5 vulnerabilities. And one of the places that we see the most struggle is with mindset. And so what we decided to do because that's my area of genius. I've worked for the past, I love it. Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, it's so true, isn't it, Kim? It's just amazing how frustrating it can be for women, and how so many women are actually stopping before they even get going. Because when you've been in this situation, when you've been stuck, when you've stopped because you feel that there's something wrong with you, even when there isn't, that's what takes women out of the game. That's why that 2% exists. That's why when women get going in corporate and then they don't get the jobs that they want, there's this place of feeling like we don't deserve what we want. And that is something we're going to get rid of. My mission is to empower 1 million women to reach their economic potential by 2025. And we're going to do that through our 5 pillars. Now, every day, every call with new clients, I hear this all the time. That's what Kim just said. So frustrating. And it so is. And this is why, instead of me trying to do it all, because this is the thing that keeps happening too. You see, as women, our brains are wired very differently than a man's. Everything connects to everything. And I'm going to get to a specific free training that you can actually get access to that explains all of this towards the end of our call. For now, though, what happens is that our brains connect everything. And so there are a lot of things that we're good at. There's a lot of things that we can handle. There's a lot of ways we can multitask. And by doing it, it actually prevents us from keeping our focus and getting what it is that we do want and what we do deserve. Now, when you look at the first point of entry, the first thing that typically keeps women stuck is mindset. And there's a difference between having a fixed mindset and a prolific mindset. And I talk more about this in depth in the actual free training that I'll tell you about towards the end of our call. But what I wanted to share with you specifically about that is that your mind dictates whether or not you are going to take action or whether you are going to stay repeating the same thought. So think about it. The last conversation that you had with someone where there was maybe a conflict or there was something that was going on, and think about how long or how many times you repeated that conversation over and over and over again in your head. So recently, I actually had one of my clients reach out to me and say, Andrea, and I can share this. She's told me that I can share this story. She said, Andrea, I want to talk to you about what just happened because I really want to share with you how proud I am. And she has a father-in-law who is a well-to-do man. And when he found out that she wanted to be an entrepreneur, every single time they get together, whether it's on the phone or whether it's, in person, she's bombarded with questions where she feels like he doesn't believe in her. Has anyone else ever had that? I know what that's like. I know what that's like. And not from my own father or my own father-in-law, but I know what that's like to be questioned in that way. And that questioning, what does it do? It creates doubt for us, doesn't it? And it doesn't matter whether you're an entrepreneur and you're experiencing that doubt, or you're in corporate and you're experiencing that doubt. That doubt in your own mind will prevent you from taking action towards what it is that you do want. And so when it comes to our mindset pillar, what I realized right away was that there was going to be different areas of need. So we created, because I've been teaching this for about 15 years now, we created one main platform just for mindset. We train you in the initial perspective of how to use it. And then there's subsections that you are then able to take for your specific area of need. Now, what I also realized was because of the way a woman's brain is wired, multitasking, one of the things that we also need to stop doing is trying to do it all. So when I looked at these 5 areas of need, or vulnerability as they're called, I really understood that I needed to seek out people who were not only like-minded, also were hearing the same stories, and also had training and systems to be able to help women get to where they want to go. So I started asking around. And let me tell you, ladies, collaboration is one of the biggest missing pieces to why women aren't getting further, farther, and faster. One of the things that a lot of us are trying to do is reinvent the wheel, and we don't need to. So when I started investigating, who could help with financial literacy, who could help with sales, who could help with technology like Kim, who could help with communication, I came across these incredibly talented women. And then I put a lot of them to the test. I won't lie. I'm one of those people, I want to know whether your stuff works before I actually invest in it, or I even really spend a lot of time looking at it. And the reason for that is because I'm so tired of having something packaged that isn't truly what you're getting. And I want to stop that, because here's the story I keep hearing. And Kim, if you've heard this story too, I'd love for you to weigh in here. But what I keep hearing happen is that there are women who maybe they've left corporate to become an entrepreneur because they want more flexibility. Maybe they're seeking more freedom. Maybe you are an entrepreneur who's trying to figure out how to up level because you've been doing one-to-one services. Maybe you're an entrepreneur who has been selling products, but you haven't been able to get the reach that you need. Either one of these situations, here's what I hear time and time again. Andrea, I just spent $50,000. I just spent $20,000. I just spent $100,000 to work with so-and-so, and I have nothing at the end of the day to get me where I want to go. That to me is not only shameful, that to me is something that needs to stop. And that was the exact reason why I looked for the other ladies of genius. I looked for other people who understood what the formula is to get you further, farther, and faster. And Kim just said, yes, ma'am, every time. Every time. And this isn't just happening because of one factor. It's happening because of all of them. It's happening because these 5 areas of vulnerability are areas that, with our global transformations, with all of the disruptions that are happening, women now have to do more to get further, and we're questioning whether or not it's even possible to get where we want to go. Now, here's the thing. One of the things that I have noticed about men is that men are actually supporting each other. They're helping each other. Their networks are very different. In that, if a man starts, let me just share with this, sorry. Every conversation ends with, where were you 3 months ago, Kim? I didn't know what I didn't know. I'm sure you get the same. And that's exactly what it is. Here's the thing with that disruption. You don't know what you don't know. And what you're doing is you're trusting people to get you where you want to go. So this is what's typically happening, is that women are starting something up on their own. They get going. They're scared to ask questions because they're scared that they don't know how to do it. And that was me too. They always say that the best thing to do is ask more questions. And so then what happens? Next step, women start asking more questions, right? But if you don't know the right questions to ask, how do you know if you're getting the right information to make the next decision? So if you think about it, in the financial industry, there are all these products that are trying to be sold to you. I love the financial industry. My husband's in the financial industry. I know a lot of women who are in the financial industry, but they'll all say the same thing. Because you're feeling like you're being sold to all the time, you don't know if you can trust it. It's the same thing with the medical industry, right? It's the same thing of trying to piece together whether or not you should take medication or not, or do something else. And what's happening is, because there's so much free content that's out there that's being shared across the get-go, trying to integrate all of these pieces isn't working. And so when I looked at all of these concepts, the broader picture, what I realized was, number one, there was no way I was going to be able to do this alone. No way. Number two, the more that we collaborate and support each other, the further we can go and the faster we can get there. And this is the point about men. Men who open new businesses, they get going like that. Why? Because they connect with other men and they get the right people in place. They get the right questions answered and they really start moving forward. Women, on the other hand, again, they're not that they're scared. It's not that you're scared to get going. It's we're so focused on being perfect all the time that we try and figure it out for ourselves. And then because we don't know what we don't know, there's all of these bumps in the road. So what happens is that we take a bunch of free training that takes up a ton of time, and then we try and piece it all together. And piecing it all together is what really is the problem, whether it's your financial situation, whether it is how you communicate to a board, whether it's how you communicate to be able to get your product out there, whether it is selling your personal brand so that you rise up through corporate, whether it's selling your services, whether it is taking a business that's currently one-to-one to scale it and taking it online. And I'm going to share something specific with you right now, ladies. If you don't have an online presence, in 2 years, I guarantee you it will be much harder for you to get where you want to go. Now, the problem with that is that there's so much, I'm going to swear, I'm sorry, crap out there that isn't working, that when you're trying to piece things together and you're not getting great advice. So this isn't just good advice, you need great advice right now. That's where things start to fall apart. And then you end up in the situation where you feel like you're the problem and you're not able to do what you need to do, or you don't get what you deserve. That's what we need to stop. That's what we're stopping with Wealthy Women Warriors Tribe, Thrive, Learning and Training Platform. So what Kim just shared was piecing together free content from across the web, trying to figure it out as they go. Yeah, absolutely. That's absolutely happening. And then it's not always good advice either. Yep. And then self-doubt sends women into paralysis every time, because self-doubt and perfection go hand in hand. So what the big issue is that we needed to bring all of these things into one area to play, to help, to support. And then what we also wanted to do was make sure that we were creating an online place for you to be able to be supported, for you to get the training that you actually do need, for you to be able to connect with other women who aren't going to tear you down, but who are absolutely going to support you and going to promote you and going to be there to lift you up. Because no longer is it okay for this competition and this, it's not even a cattiness. I don't think that women believe that they're doing it either. But I think that there's a lot of women that if we learn how to trust and work together and collaborate, there's so many awesome things that could start to happen. And we need to stop reinventing the wheel. We need to stop trying to figure it all out for ourselves. And we need to have access to these 5 areas of vulnerability so that we actually do start receiving what it is that we truly deserve. So the reason that we're actually starting with our mindset pillar, part of it has to do with that's my area of genius and I've been doing it for 15 years. But it's also because we have 3 ambassadors that are highly trained, one in depression, overwhelm, and anxiety, another one for women who are overachievers, and another woman who is outstanding and is a millennial herself and is helping millennial women entrepreneurs get the resources and the mindset that they need in order to get going. So all 3 of these women who are prolific mindset ambassadors are going to be launching. And why we're starting with mindset really has to do with self-doubt, perfection, and that feeling of getting stuck. So because there's too many women feeling like, you know what, maybe my dreams are unrealistic and struggling, these are the things that we're going to shift out of. Because if you're stressed and you're tired and stuck, that mindset just isn't there to get you to even that next step. And we're about to head into the holiday season. We're about to finish our last quarter. What I realize is that women need tools right now, today, to get unstuck, to be able to choose your path and to be able to move forward. And what I like to think of it with our specific mindset system, there really isn't anything else on the market that's like this, that teaches you a structure, a system, so that you train your thoughts for the ability to choose your results. So instead of, feeling like your environment is controlling you, instead of feeling like you have no other choice, instead of feeling like you don't deserve what it is that you want, which is complete and utter BS, those are the things that we're fixing with our mindset pillar. And I'd love to invite you to our Tribe Thrive, our first free training. And every month we will have free training that is sent out to our Tribe Thrivers. So if you go on to wealthywomanwarrior.com, there is a wonderful free training that you can have access to right now. And I'm going to put it onto the screen. It's wealthywomanwarrior.com/prolific -mindset -blueprint -enroll. So if you use that URL, you'll be able to get the free training on mindset. And in that free training, I go through what a fixed mindset is versus what a prolific mindset is. I talk about why those two concepts are actually keeping you stuck. I talk specifically about how the brain is wired for women versus for men. I talk about, there we go. Yeah, Kim, thank you. I talk about specific steps to help you change that. I talk about why throughout the day, you can start your day in a really positive mindset and then lose that mindset and lose your ability to keep going very easily. I'm giving you tools. I'm giving you structure. I'm giving you some training to actually get you through to where you can actually start letting go of the self-doubt, recognizing you do absolutely deserve to have the life that I know that you're holding in your heart. And I can't wait to keep providing you with not only free content, but free content from expert women, from women who have been there, done it, and actually have the results to show you that you don't have to live like this anymore. We're starting this as a movement across Canada and beyond. And I can't wait to have you join us and join in this movement with our free and our paid trainings, and even just be able to get into the Tribe Thrive access area so that you can get on to some of our Q&A calls, so that you can join and participate. And of course, starting tomorrow, you'll also have our live Tribe Thrive TV, where I will be interviewing some of our ambassadors, clients. I'll be interviewing women who have done astronomical things, authors, change makers, so that you constantly have some support. You constantly have tools and resources so that we stop this right now. We get unstuck, we choose our path, and you get the results that you're looking for. Thank you so much for the time that you have taken today to spend with me. I know how many competing priorities there are. So thank you from my heart to yours. And I look forward to our next call tomorrow at, I believe, 12:30. We'll see you then. Bye for now, everyone.